Hey, what's up guys, ComradeAaron here, and today we've got you another War Stories video. And today we've got this story is going to be about Junior Sergent Pavlov, who he was in the 13th Guards Rifle Division at Stalingrad during 1942, I think it was. Yeah, 1942. And basically his I think it's a platoon got tasked with taking a building in the 9th of January square, which was guarded by Germans, sorry. And well, yeah, it was a building which overlooks a lot of the German positions. It is overlooking Russian positions as well, and it is needed taking, so well, it'll just help the Russians a lot more, because at this point the Russians were basically having to fight over the sort of banks of the Volga. That's all they had left, and so they got tasked with taking this position, which would be a great advantageous position for the Russians. And his platoon or whatever went through the sewers to get there. The soldier led the way through the sewers because he used to be a sewer engineer. He led them through the sewers and came out pretty much next to the building, and a quick sprint across the road and they were there. So they came out, and there were armoured cars there and stuff like that. And the Germans were just taking a little break, having a cigarette, just having a relax in the midst of all the war. I think they'd just taken the building actually, or it got turned into a HQ or something. And anyway, this 25 man, this was an understrength platoon. Well, took out pretty much every German that was there, and ended up defending the building. They literally turned that building into a fortress. Once they took it, they stopped another wave of Germans coming to take it back. They stopped them, and then they got they were down to about 5 men, I think it was. Yeah, about 5. And what they did, they set up a minefield. Basically, I'll put up a picture now. There was a massive stretch of open land which the Germans had to cross to get to the building, and so what they did, in this stretch of land, they set up a minefield, barbed wire, all during the night while the Germans are regathering all the troops and equipment. And what they did was, then they got machine guns. They used German machine guns that they captured, all rifles, submachine guns, anything they had, grenades. They even put a few mines around the actual building just in case they got close. And every single time the Germans attacked, they were pushed back. And yeah, they even at one point they had a sniper with them, who got a lot of Germans. He took out commanding officers. He had to save his ammunition for commanding officers and spotters and stuff like that. There was one point where there was a German artillery spotter calling in artillery barrages and planes to bomb the building. So the sniper literally got in the top of the roof and shot him, so they weren't getting bombed anymore. The building did take a direct hit from a Heinkel 111, I think it was. But the building still stood. It took the hit. Just one of the walls collapsed or something like that. That's about it. Yeah, and eventually they got themselves a PTRS 41 anti-tank rifle, which got put in one of the top floors for when the tanks came. And eventually tanks did come to take that building back. Panzer 3s or 4s, I think they were. But because the gun elevation of the tanks weren't high enough to take out this anti-tank rifle, and the anti-tank rifle was above them, they could shoot through the very thin armour on the top, straight in and kill all the crew. The rounds went through the top armor, bounced around and killed all the crew. Ricocheted around the inside, killing them all. And they stopped 2 tanks. 2 tanks were down, just from one anti-tank rifle. Yeah, so this place got turned into a fortress. They even broke internal walls so they could communicate with the other troops, or the very few other troops that were there with them. Yeah, they dug a trench to where the sewers came out, so they could receive reinforcements or travel back to get equipment and stuff like that. Because well, they didn't actually get reinforcements till close to the end of the battle. Yeah, they had to. One of the troops kept going backwards and forwards, bringing ammunition to the house, and he did that quite a few times actually. They attacked the building. Germans attacked the building several times a day, and each time German infantry or tanks tried to cross the square and to close in on the house. Pavlov's men basically laid down tons of ammunition straight into them. They couldn't cross, and every single time a few hundred Germans would die. Well, that's an exaggeration, but it was close to it. They had machine guns, anti-tank rifles and submachine guns tearing down German men. As a matter of fact, there were civilians in the basement of the house. Okay. Yeah, there was civilians in the house while they were fighting. I think it was loads of women and children. And they fed the troops while they were there and looked after them. And they were the people who dug the trench to get all the ammunition and stuff. And eventually, on about the 25th of November 1942, more Soviet troops counterattacked and basically helped them defend and take the building and the surrounding area back. Now, Pavlov's house, it got the nickname Pavlov's house because of Junior Sergent Pavlov. It became his house because he defended it for quite a while, actually. And it became a symbol of defence for the Russians. They believed if they could do the same, they would get the victory. And for the Germans, it was really demoralising. Morale? Yeah, something like that. Demoralising, that's the word. It was really demoralising for them because they could not take this building. They were used to being able to just march in, take the building and leave, but obviously they couldn't do that. And eventually, Vasily Chirkov, the leading Soviet general person that was there, well, he joked about the Germans. He said that the Germans lost more men trying to take Pavlov's house than they did taking the entirety of Paris. Now, I find that funny. They lost more men taking Pavlov's house. They didn't even take Pavlov's house, and they did actually take Paris, and they lost more men taking. Didn't even. It's just amazing. Anyway, guys, see you guys in the next one.